Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are going to be taking a very first look, at least my very first look, at Rome Total War Remastered Barbarian Invasion. Now, as some of you may know, Rome Total War Remastered was recently released on Steam, and so it's a complete remaster to dramatically increase the resolution for the original Rome Total War game, as well as the DLCs which came out later, which were for Barbarian Invasion, which looks at the Roman Empire in decline as the Huns are sort of coming and assaulting it in the late 300s and into the early 400s, as well as the Alexander DLC, which looks at the conquests of Alexander the Great. Rome Total War was, for many people, sort of the pinnacle of the Total War series. I don't, technically speaking, that's certainly not true in terms of, the game has come a long way in terms of UI, in terms of graphical fidelity, in terms of scale of battles, and a whole bunch of other things like that. The earlier Total War games are a little bit more kludgy. The maps weren't as well crafted, weren't as beautiful. But for a lot of people, this Rome Total War was sort of just a nostalgic look back at what was great. And in many ways, Rome 2 failed to live up to that, at least in its release state. When it was released very buggily with a lot of problems. There were a lot of enhancements made to Emperor's Edition, Rome Total War 2, which sort of ended up getting the game up to, I think, a pretty good standard. But for many people, Rome Total War was sort of the peak, and there were a ton of mods. Europa, Barbarum, Rome Total Realism, it was one of the most, heavily modded games in terms of total conversion mods, because this was back when you could do a lot more than you can do on the newer Total War games from a modding perspective. My favorite Total War game ever was Rome Total War Barbarian Invasion, the DLC for Rome. Rome Total War 1 had some weird things in the base campaign where it was kind of like, it's the Julii family fighting against the Brutus family. I mean, it was supposed to mirror like this idea of conflicting power groups within Rome. Obviously the intent was to have, the different families almost act like Caesar and Pompey with their own essentially armies fighting against each other during the Roman Civil War. It was meant to build up to that. So like the different families would get missions from the Senate, they would go off and conquer, they would build Rome up against Carthage and all the other enemies. And then the end game idea was now these three houses are all going to fight against each other to determine who will rule Rome as the Republic fades away into empire. I understood the concept and the reason for the game being designed in that way. I didn't really enjoy that mantra. To me, it always was like, why are there three different standards for Rome? Why am I, why is Rome not Rome? It's like this faction, almost like quasi-federation. It never really felt right to me. There were a lot of other problems with the game as well, like the Greek states in Egypt were given like chariots to be like, you're the pharaohs, but you're not really the pharaohs. That was historically a successor state to Alexander the Great. They were Greek in many ways. So there were problems with the game. The mods made it a lot better. I played a lot of Rome Total Realism and Europa Barbarum, but the game that really stuck with me was Rome Total War Barbarian Invasion, which again looks at that period of Roman collapse. And I think it's really fascinating because it puts you in a situation where the state is about to fall apart. You are basically bankrupt. You're beset by barbarians all over the map. And instead of getting you really quickly into a snowball scenario where no one can stand against you and your economy is booming, you've got to figure out how to break a broken economy, a divisive country, and deal with massive enemy armies that are in many ways superior to your own. And from my perspective, empires in decay are too rarely represented in games. Games love to build empires from nothing into a huge state. They're really bad at representing decay. And I wish more games did that. And so that's why Barbarian Invasion really stuck with me. And we're going to be playing it tonight. So we're going to go ahead and jump in with a new game. We're going to go ahead and play the main campaign. That's probably enough of me rambling here. And then we are going to play as the Romans. You can see here in the main campaign, you can play as the Huns. who have objectives to establish, will basically take Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, because at this time Rome has already been divided into two empires, one based out of Constantinople, which will eventually turn into Byzantium, not in the game timeline, but eventually will turn into Byzantium and the successor state of the Roman Empire that will last until 1453, 1452. And you obviously want to take Rome. You have the Goths, you have the Sarmatians, the Saxons, the Germanic Frankish tribes, the Vandals, who historically, I believe, took a large slice of North Africa from the Romans. I think they also did sack Rome at one point near the end there. You've got the Celts, the Sassanids, which are basically like the one traditional empire here. These are essentially the successor states to the Parthians, based out of modern day Iran. And then they're like the one sort of real, not like nomadic tribes like the Huns, but they're like a real established empire. You've got the Ostrogoths, the Romano-British. I don't know if this is supposed to be like, is this an emergent faction? Events will be simulated leading up to the faction's appearance, and the world will begin at a slightly different state each time. Oh, that's interesting. Is that new? I don't remember that being a thing before. Roman conquest of Britannia gave rise to Romano-British culture, a fusion of Roman culture that was the indigenous Britons, despite the constant raids from northern Celt. That has to be new. So presumably this power will emerge, but you don't get to be them until like some point in the middle of the game. Romano-British and Slavs are new in this. They're both emergent factions. Oh, that's kind of cool. We might have to go back and play that at some point, but we're not going to do that tonight. And then Slavs are another emergent faction. So that must be a new feature with the remaster. That's really awesome that they added something like that. That's kind of cool. So I'm assuming Romano-British are basically some like deviation. You know, Rome at some point loses control of the British Isles, and they sort of rise up to try and take control or reestablish some local control. You know, maybe a little bit of King Arthur in there, depending on the King Arthur myth you wish to follow. The Alemanni, the Berbers, the Burgundy, the Eastern Roman Empire, which is a bit easier than the West because they actually have money, because they've got, you know, when the Roman Empire split between East and West, the East was like where most of the big trade occurred and where a lot of the wealth resided. The West was like largely farmland, and then like Spain, but like Spain was problematic from a financial perspective. It had a lot of mines, but I think they were kind of mined out in many cases, and it was no longer sort of the cash cow it once was. You've got the Western Roman Empire, and then you've got the Lombardy, but we're going to be playing as the Western Roman Empire, which is very difficult according to the game. You can see since the death of Constantine the Great in 337 AD, the Roman Empire has effectively been divided into two unequal halves, and at least nominally Christian. Other men have tried to rule everything, but their efforts have foundered. Julian the Apostate, the last man to try, had spent much of his energy in trying to make the Roman people pagan once again. In this, he failed. Now the Western Empire is the weaker part of the Roman world. Western Europe has never been as rich as the Eastern end of the Mediterranean. Imperial taxes and population have been dropping, and upkeep of the army is increasingly difficult. Over the last 100 years, barbarians have been allowed to settle in the Roman provinces. Barbarians have been allowed to fill the ranks of the Roman army. And now the Western Empire is vulnerable. A strong emperor can hold the frontiers against the barbarians from the north and east. A strong emperor could even reunite the empire and rule the world from Rome. But this would take a very strong man to carry the title of Augustus. Historically, the Roman Empire in the West disappeared in 476. Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor, was so irrelevant that he was merely deposed and allowed to live out his days in retirement. Rome was ruled by a succession of barbarian kings, while learning was kept alive in the West only through the Roman Catholic Church. So we're going to keep the advice level low. We're going to go with medium campaign difficulty, medium battle. Let's make it hard battle difficulty. I feel like the AI is not typically terribly good at battles. We're not going to go with arcade battles. They're quicker, but they're less realistic and whatever. I'd rather go with this sort of old time battles, which do take much longer, I think, than the newer Total War games, but we'll do that. Realistic governance. A governor must be present to manage a settlement. That sounds like a smart thing. No battle time limit. We should impose that. And then follow characters so we show movements between turns. So let's go ahead and jump in here. Faction difficulty, very hard. Better purchase it through my link, Newhauser. Just saying. Unless you already own it on Steam. If you already own the game on Steam, I think you get it 50% off to own the remastered version. But if you don't, you can check out that link in the chat to my Nexus GG page. And if you buy it through that, you get a Steam key without the discount if you already own it. So that's why I said don't buy it through that if you already own it. But then it helps the channel out. Okay, so here we go. Rome. All right. Let's scroll out here. So we can see the Western Roman Empire is under our control. That's all the red here. So we've got 2 provinces in England, or in Great Britain, or in the British Isles, I guess. We've got four provinces represent Spain. Looks like 2 in North Africa. So we don't have Western North Africa anymore. It looks like the Berbers have taken that over at some point in the past, but we still hold Carthage and then one other province here at Leptis Magna. Obviously, we've got all of Italy, Corsica, Sardinia. We've got the province of Salonia, which sort of links us up to the east. And then we also have the province of Pannonia up here that also links us up to the east. Stein, by the way, thanks for the resub. I saw that a little bit ago. I still have my original discs for Rome 1. I don't have Barbarian Invasion. I only ever got that digitally. Somehow I didn't play that till long after. By the way, Harmon Snow, thanks for the follow. Don John TRD, thank you for the follow. I think Ranator, I already thanked you for the follow. Pickle Laker, thank you for the, or Pike Laker, thank you for the follow. And Studpo, thank you for the follow. Okay. So if we zoom, all right, so let's zoom back in here. So one of the major problems that Rome deals with, there's 2 fundamental crises that you have to deal with Rome at the start of this game. One of them is the fact that you have no money. So we start off with 1,000 in gold, and it claims our next turn's income is going to be 22,000. But that's rapidly going to kind of fall apart because all of these provinces are going to start like rebelling. You're going to get like civil unrest and whatnot. And so your economy is going to tank and you're not going to be able to buy new units. In conjunction with that, your public or related to that, your public order is in terrible shape. So like if we go to Semorbrevia here in northern France, and we go ahead and we click on the settlement details, we can see that currently the public order in this settlement is 45%. That's dangerously low. The population is growing, which is good. Population can be a very bad problem. Like you can have population decline that robs you of income and the ability to raise troops and effectively like fight. But in this case, the issue is public order's at 45%. Why is the public order so low? Well, if we take a look here, 35% of the decrease is due to squalor, 45% of a hit against us due to the distance to Rome, the capital itself, 10% because the leader differs from the settlement's religion. So I guess like, I don't know if our governor, or I guess maybe our actual emperor is, I think, Christian, and these folks are pagan, I think. Yeah, 82% of folks in this province are pagan. And then what's the other thing here? 25% Christianity is causing unrest. So like as you build churches and buildings to try and convert folks from being pagans to being Christians, they don't like that. So the settlement's conversion strength right now is 30%, which means it is obviously becoming more pagan. So 30%, there's no conversion strength for Christianity. So this means that over time, this population will gradually move from 18% Christianity to 82% paganism. And you kind of have to figure out, like, how do you manage that? So, you know, obviously the easiest way to probably manage that would be to figure out how do you get rid of this 35%, the 25% of Christianity causing unrest, and the 10% of the faction leader differing from the settlement. Because if you get that, you can get this back into an acceptable region. You can also try and increase you know, law and order, increase the garrison, and increase happiness. You could lower taxes, things like that. So like if we go here, we can go ahead and we see tax rates are normal. We can drop them to low taxes, and then that increases the public order to 80%, puts this into a yellow face region, which means they probably won't riot next turn, which is good, but it also will decline our overall revenue here. You can see the estimated revenue next turn went from, or estimated balance went from 2,000 to 1,900. So we lost a fair bit of income by doing that, but we probably need to do that. Additionally, let's take a look at the buildings here. What are the buildings for this region? So we've got a temple here, it looks like, a temple of Mithridates. So that is going to convert people to paganism. Do we want to do that? I don't know. Maybe we would rather they be Christian, but that would probably piss a lot of people off. So we'll just hold off on that. Colonia also is 26% Christian. They do have a little bit of Christian conversion strength against the paganism, which dominates this region. 65% public order bonus at the moment, so we can drop the tax rate here, and that'll keep them happy for now. Augustia here is also not so happy. Drop the tax rate here to 85% to get them, you know, back into an acceptable region. But you can see our income is dropping. So next turn's income is decreasing as we lower taxes. Shocker. Lower taxes, less revenue. Avarsium here is currently at 5% public order, so there's probably nothing we can do there to get these guys to be happy. These guys are really pissed off because of the squalor in this town, which basically means like the buildings, the baths, the things that keep people clean are not keeping up with this population. The population, it claims, is, well, it's a large city. What is the population? I don't see an actual number of people here. 20,581. Where do I see that number? Oh, down here. So there's 20,000 people, or wait, you need 24,000 to upgrade the settlement. Current population is 20,581. So I don't really see a path to making this city happy. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to piss him off more quickly. So the income of this province is you know, okay. It's a larger city. It probably generates a fair bit of income, but I'm going to go ahead and increase their tax rate to very high. That's going to piss them off a lot, but it is going to generate some more gold down here. So we're getting 1,600 gold versus 1,000. I'm going to go ahead and jack the tax rates up. In addition to jacking the tax rates up, I'm going to go ahead and pull the garrison out of the town, because what we're going to do is as soon as they revolt, we're going to send the military back in. We're also going to go ahead and pull this army unit to the west here, because we may need the extra troops here under Marcus Flavius, one of our field armies out here. We're going to send him west to deal with the threat of Avarsium. And when they eventually revolt in the next probably 2 turns or so, then we'll go ahead and butcher everybody and exterminate the city, so that way they hopefully don't become a problem for a while. Okay, so we've got to do the same kind of stuff. Let's see, Burgundia, 50%. We can deal with that by lowering taxes. What I'm really trying to do here is manage how many revolts we have to deal with all at once. So I don't have the money to upgrade my towns quickly enough. I don't have the money really to maintain the troops that I have currently either. And so what I really need to make sure is that, like, when these revolts occur, that they're controlled in isolated locations and are something that I can deal with. You can improve, you know, public order by lowering tax rates. You can also improve it by offering games or bread and circuses, things like that. So like, you know, you've got basically like a, what do you call it? Like the Colosseum type stuff. So right now balance is 1901. If we do daily games, that's expensive, right? Oh, wow. 800 for daily games. What about monthly games? So yearly games, 20. Monthly games gives us a 20% bonus in public order. Costs 400 gold. We can go ahead and cut the tax rate to low. Tax rates are way cheaper than daily or monthly games. But that at least gets these folks... Wait, they're still red? They're still angry? That doesn't indicate they're angry here. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong city. They're Or no, I'm not. Why do I still have, it says 50% here. Huh. Really? I am not. You know what? I think we're just going to have to let these folks riot. I am not going to spend that kind of money. So we'll jack the tax rates up. Just force a revolt. Well, here, if we go to normal, they may not revolt right away. Let's see what the other cities in Spain look like. Carthago Nova is an important trade center here. You can see there's a sea trade route. There's also land trade routes here. Public order here is only 5%. Spain is a mess. What's the issue here? So they're 24% Christian. They're very heavily pagan. I'm gonna have to figure out how to like change some of this because my leader is Christian, which is also gonna make them all hate me too. These guys at least are starting at 45%, so that feels more manageable. We just drop taxes to low here. It gets us up to 80%, gets rid of the angry. Salamanca, 20%. Go ahead and drop their tax rates to low as well. Just trying to delay the revolution. Imperator. This governor is, what's his religion? He's pagan. So he's pagan in a pagan city. You'd think they'd like that. Let's go ahead and get these 3 cavalry units up here toward Tarraco. We'll go ahead and take this field army over here. Merge them. We'll go ahead and I'm just gonna spur the revolution here as quickly as I can, I guess, in northeastern Spain. Is this guy Christian? Is that part of the problem? He's pagan too. I mean, these folks have a pagan governor. In any event, we're forming a military that is largely cavalry. It does have 2 foederati infantry, some archers, and then a fair bit of cavalry here. We'll go ahead and make this city revolt. So I can't actually affect taxes, I guess, because I pulled the governor out of the town. So let's put him back in there. You know, actually very low gets it to 75%. That's manageable. For now, anyway. Carthago Nova, less so. They actually have a population decrease also, which is a problem. Thank you for the follow, Zuntong. Unicorn Collective, Proconsul, thanks for the bits. All right, so Carthago Nova, I guess, is the place to go ahead and try and fight these guys off. So they're gonna revolt here, but we're gonna send these troops south, I guess. And then we've got the rest of these cities, or at least some of them anyway. Being managed. So we're going to get rioting in at least 2 towns in Spain. What about in North Africa? What can we do here? Carthage is content. At least not like revolting yet. Levis Magna is not happy. These guys... Christianity's unrest will decline. I'm guessing that's because they're pagan and there's no conversion power here. Or there's a little bit, actually. They're mostly Christian, but the conversion power is paganism. So why is Christianity causing unrest then? Oh, well, we have pagan temples here. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and destroy this pagan temple. It's a temple to Sol Invictus. Go ahead and build a new temple here. A Christian shrine. That may make people more upset, but it will cut down on the conversion strength here. Yep, that dropped public order quite a lot. I guess the pagans aren't thrilled about that, huh? The majority of the people here are Christian anyway. Is my leader not pagan? Is that the issue, or is my leader pagan? Okay, well, I guess we're gonna have a revolt here too, aren't we? Try and hold it off a little bit. I don't really have any reserves here in North Africa either, so we're going to send this fleet back to Syracuse and maybe they can pick up some troops here. Meanwhile, the situation in Syracuse a little bit better. So apparently our temples are still... You know what we probably should do is just abandon Christianity. Like, everybody seems to be pagan provinces, or most of the provinces seem to be pagan. This is a Christian shrine, right? Yeah. And you can only have you have to pick a religion, basically. So southern Italy here, these guys are Christian, they're happy. They're at 90%. Can I increase taxes? Probably not. They might riot. Syracuse, they're at 85%. Probably don't want to increase taxes there either. But I do think maybe what we want to do is pull some troops out of here. What's the leader here? The leader here is pagan as well. All my generals seem to be pagan. Alright, so that's going to drop their happiness a bit. Next turn, there doesn't look like anything's getting worse. It looks like the Christianity unrest will decline by 5%. But I do want to pull some troops out here where I can. I probably also want to, like, dismiss some troops. These guys are missile troops. Are these like crossbows? They're 218, 173, and 235. So I'm going to get rid of this unit here. It will reduce my garrison and it will hollow out the innards of my country here, but I do need to reduce some of these garrisons here a little bit. Rome is moderately happy. We're going to get rid of these missile troops also, save us a little bit of cash. Although having an army in our capital probably is worthwhile. Ravinia is not happy with us. They're close enough that I think we can deal with a revolt if they do. So let's do this. Let's jack their tax rates up. They're a big city of 27,000. They're currently pagan. Their conversion strengths are heavily pagan, but we can fix that. I think. I really have to click this one at a time. There's currently a level 3 temple to Mithridates here, so we're going to go ahead and demolish that. That's going to really make them angry. Presumably. We can go ahead and build a new building here. For a church. Because hell yeah, we're going to be Christian. Constantine was right. Alright, meanwhile they're at 45% happiness. Paganism is causing a lot of unrest. 55% here in this town. We'll drop taxes to low just to keep things manageable here for a turn, but if they do revolt, I'm not too worried about that. I'm just gonna drop here. Ooh, these guys are pretty happy. 105% here at Augustia. They're also pagan, but I don't need to make them upset. Just increase taxes slightly. Carantanium, 0% public order? Really? Got nothing? %, settlement conversion strength? All based on neighboring regions, huh? Wow, these guys are strongly Christian. Characters and region. This guy must be like an evangelizing saint. 45%. Spurius Flavius. Okay, well, let's take advantage of that here. Let's demolish this temple. Yeah, I know you're mad. Too bad. So we're going to build a church here. That drops their public order, their happiness. Go ahead and drop taxes a little bit to 60. So there may still riot here at Aquinium. Meanwhile, down here at Salonia, they're at 20% now. Drop taxes, monthly games, 70%. I wonder if they will riot or not. I don't really have the troops to hold Salonia. But what we could do is pull troops out of Rome, put them on these ships, and sail them east in the event that we need to. You can see we have a bunch of watchtowers, which I really like. The watchtower concept in the game, the way it works is it basically gives us visibility into the neighboring provinces, which are all, you know, barbarian provinces from our perspective. And so that really does help give you a little bit more info. We are going to have a negative balance here. Net income negative 1,700. We can fix that a little bit. Rome or Londinium is apparently happy, so we can go ahead and increase their tax rate and they'll still be okay. So that'll give us not much money. Guess it's a backwater right now. But the folks in England seem to be, or in England, and I guess this should still be England up here, would still be kind of happy. So you can see we have a currency crisis. The policies of debasement and inflation have pursued by previous emperors have undermined all trust in our currency, and it's no longer favored as a medium of exchange. Some have even reverted to bartering. So low is trust in Roman coin. Until we can restore the faith in our coin, you will be unable to recruit merchants to trade in foreign lands. This is a really cool concept that I don't believe was in the original game, is this idea of the fact is the Romans did debase their currency. They did continually remove the amount of, you know, precious metals that were in their coins and print kind of worthless coins that sort of caused inflation and a reduction in the purchasing power. And so there's a unit which, again, not in the original barbarian invasion, called merchants, which you can put into different provinces and set up trade lanes back into your own kingdom or your own empire. But in this case, it's telling them we can't use them because our currency is debased. So I don't know how you restore faith in our currency. I don't know if that's just the economy doing better or what, but that is kind of a cool concept here. The Lost NZ, you blame me for your obsession with War in the Pacific? Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's a good game, though. All right, powerful faith. The faith has power to move men's hearts. This religion has become the dominant faith. That's paganism. People in flight. The Vandals are apparently fleeing, so we got to be aware of that. And from out of the steppes comes a new menace to the world. The Huns are the finest cavalry. So basically it's telling us the Huns are arriving and the Vandals are fleeing, and so we have to potentially deal with that. One thing I am going to do here to save a little bit more cash, if Londinium is happy, and most of the troops here kind of are shit-ass spearmen anyway, I can get rid of a garrison unit or two here to save some cash. Oh no, too much! All right. The funny thing is the upkeep of one of those garrison units is more than the tax increase would have brought us anyway. So we can get rid of two of those garrison, probably get rid of 3 of the garrison units here. Not that I want to like make Rome too easy for other armies to conquer, but these guys aren't going to do much to help hold that base. The better troops probably should be up north anyway, where these barbarian tribes may come across. So I do want to leave a relatively capable field army there. But we'll get rid of one of these garrison spear units. And so that does make my economy slightly better. I'm at negative 1,000 now. What's this guy? An assassin? What's his upkeep?
Assassin ready.
Do these guys even have upkeep? Anyway, we've got an assassin. We could use him to kill bad guys.
On my way.
This is our garrison force, so I don't want to weaken them, although there's not very many good troops here. Most of my good troops are heading west toward Avarsium. Let's just get rid of one of these units here. Guesties as well. These light spearmen, I mean, if we take a look at this unit, why is it not opening? Oh. So if we take a look, I guess I don't even know if you guys can see this, but I don't think you can because it's a Steam window here. But these guys are basic infantry armed with long spears, and they're effectively a defense against enemy cavalry. They cannot chase down. So these guys are like just like cheap spearmen for like border control and things like that. Not really something that I'm super interested in having a ton of. They're useful as garrison, but they're probably more expensive than like peasants. So we'll get rid of a couple of them. We'll get rid of one of them. You can see that brings our economy a little bit closer to balanced. I need to have money to like build new buildings and crap. So there's no reason to have too many troops. I mean, we need them to fight the barbarians, but our economy's in shambles at the moment anyway. And so we'll get rid of some of these guys here in sort of the interior, where there's less immediate risk that the enemy may come against us. We've got some heavy infantry, which are kind of like the legionaries. What do the Catholic priests do? Chanting inspires nearby troops. They can't swim. Great. Syracuse, I want to keep those troops around because I might need them in North Africa. Calarius here apparently is happy. Get rid of this spearman unit here. Also, I think getting rid of garrisons does increase the likelihood of like not barbarians, but increases the likelihood of like rebels and stuff in different regions. Okay. Get rid of this light cavalry. So that should bring us back to a balanced budget. It does. It'll increase our net income will rise by 309 points next turn. So we've reduced a few of the units here. Now, when some of these cities do move into rebellion, that is going to hurt our income in some of these towns. So that is something we also have to consider. Why would I want 3 of these guys here at Burka? Masswolf, thanks for the sub. 3 months now. Appreciate the support. Frenzy Fan 5, thanks for the sub. 1 month. Appreciate the support as well. Lost NZ, thank you for 4 months now. And Todd Robert Scott, thank you for the follow. Part of me also wonders if there's any value in like maintaining some of these naval vessels, but we will for now. Send this guy to port. I'm assuming keeping our trade lanes open is worth the expense. I would guess like pirates and other threats will rise if we don't have ships. These guys are gonna revolt, aren't they? I hope not right away. I have some peasants here. They're cheap. One of the other things you can sometimes do to appease your population also is raise new troops, because that takes some of the population out of the general settlement and puts them into troops, and as a result it can decrease some of your discontent and squalor and things like that. So we'll raise 2 peasant armies or 2 peasant units at Lepgus, and we'll see if that helps us at all. All right, so I think this is pretty tight. We're only gonna have a 100 surplus next turn. Let's get rid of one of these missile troops here. These guys are expensive. And maybe 1 unit of Commentas of the legionaries here in Rome. The fact is I need cash, and so we've got to figure out a way to get the economy in better shape here, and this is the only way I can really think of doing it. The Empire, Sean Mack, we're just getting started, so Fierce Fusions, thanks for the follow. Okay, so we're going to end our first turn. I'm not really doing a lot in the way of troop movements. I kind of expect either Medlium or Ravinia or one of these towns to revolt against me. Maybe not this first turn, but within a few turns. Avarsium might revolt right away, but I'm already preparing for that with these 2 forces getting ready to move in there and sack the town against revolts. There could be barbarian invasions that may cross the border, but we'll see. Nobody's immediately threatening that I can see. And some of these towns like Campus Ezegas here, these are just general rebels. Same for Campus Quadi, which I assume is meant to represent the Quadi tribes who famously fought against Marcus Aurelius. But the more serious threats like the Alemanni and the Franks are sort of along the Rhine. Campus Christi is also a rebel unit, so none of the major hordes have arrived here yet. We can't even see them yet. So we're probably okay for a turn. So I'm sure there's a lot of other things I could be looking at. You can see this is just a general overview of the different provinces. It looks like Carthago Nova, Salamantia, Avarsium, and Lepris Magna are all at risk of rioting. Midlot, God, that's more provinces than I thought. But I can't do a lot about some of these. Like some of these guys are just they're gonna riot. Like there's nothing I can do. I can try to make sure that troops head east or something like that. But like these provinces along the Danube, but there's no way to make them happy right now. I could pull some of these troops out of Rome. The other problem is like apparently our road networks suck, which like you should build up, but I always thought the whole thing about Rome was they had good roads. So I don't know why our roads suck unless it's just supposed to represent general decay over time. In any event, we're going to go ahead and end the first turn and see what happens here. So it looks like the Goths are attacking Izigas here on our eastern flank. They took that province over. They've already settled, by the way, so they're not a horde. So like barbarian tribes can like pick everything up and then move and attack and plunder provinces without taking them and then sort of find a new homeland. But it looks like the Goths already have a homeland in the east. I don't know, Newhauser. For some reason, commerce is not as good as it used to be. I guess we'll put it that way. Right, end of turn report. So looks like we turned a net income of 8,300. So these numbers up here in the upper right are always just an estimate. But it looks like we turned 833. Looks like our estimate as of the start of this turn is that our income will increase by 8 more, so up to 841. Construction report, we completed a church in Ravinia, Leptis Magna, and Aquisium, and we raised peasants at Lepis Magna. Now if we go into the diplomacy section here, it says we are the largest faction in the world, and we also have some leaders, some individuals within our province who they're, Lenus Flavius, Publius Flavius, they're having, they're gaining new traits. And then there's civil disorder and Aquisium, Carintinium, Midlodium. Oh my God, I shouldn't even say what these towns are. Salamanca, Carthago Nova, and Avarsium. And Bertigla increases in size. Ravinia did not revolt. These guys are rioting. All right, so let's get these troops together. We'll wait outside this city here in central Gaul, France, and wait for them to revolt so that I can march in and crush the revolt. Move these troops down toward Carthago Nova. It says they're rioting, but they're only disillusioned. They're not actually angry at the moment. So maybe they've vented their spleens a little bit. The unrest caused by Christianity is declining. They have damaged the proconsul palace, so we should repair that. So that'll cost us money to repair damage caused by the rioters. But if they're actually going to be less upset, then I don't necessarily want to... These guys are going to revolt. I have to get an army up to Salamanca. I'm not going to spend money trying to get their buildings repaired. Carthage is upset, but they haven't started rioting yet. And Leptis Magna apparently just needed the guiding hand of some new peasants, because they seem to be content now. Okay. We'll give them a little bit more of a garrison here, but it looks like we saved this town. I do think I'm going to need more troops in Carthage, so we're going to still go ahead and pull this one spear unit here and then sail them toward Carthage. Syracuse. Syracuse is pagan, huh? What are the conversion strengths here? Neighboring provinces have no impact because they're, I guess, on an island, obviously, Sicily. Settlement conversion strength currently 10%, 5% for the characters in region, 5% for the regional buildings. I mean, my goal is to convert these guys to Christianity. So we go ahead and destroy this building. That makes them a little bit upset. Go ahead and make a Christian temple. Presumably that'll make them more upset. Although this actually says you get a plus 5% bonus for having that. And then that will change the conversion strength next turn, presumably a little bit toward paganism, but we'll see. All right, these troops that we pulled out of Rome, we're going to go ahead and load up on transports. Oh, there's rebels. These look like rebels. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys across the Adriatic. Unload the troops to Salonia. Salonia did apparently revolt, or it looked like they might have been rioting. I don't see any damaged buildings there. I'm not going to do anything about the frontier along the Rhine. Still looks okay.
Assassin ready. As you command.
I don't think we can convince the Alemanni to be our friends, but we might be able to convince the Franks. We're not at war with them right now, so we'll go ahead and send some guys out that way. Okay. 105, eh? Give me a little bit more cash then. D4M4D, thanks for the follow. Chesty's AoE, thanks for the follow. Trashy CS, thanks for the follow. Aurelius also, I could use a little bit more cash. So what's it going to put our income at? Actually, we're going to have a nice... Why does it say negative? Net income, negative 10. That's just completely different than what it said before. But then also the estimated net balance at next turn is 2,800. Those numbers don't make sense to me. Oh, it's just because I'm building stuff, so I'm spending more than... I think that's what it is. It's that I'm building stuff. So how do I... Like, the rioting here will probably calm down. Let's go ahead and repair these buildings. But Aquisium, I think, is going to be okay. What's the conversion strength? Strongly in favor of Christianity. So Christians just like to cause problems, apparently, in this game. For you. Just like, we're revolting because we're a Christian. But why, guys? Just because. Oh. Okay. We have a diplomat here. Can we go make some agreement with the Goths here on our eastern border? Got to deal with this rebel army here. Enemy merchant? Could kill you. I don't know if that's a good idea. He might actually bring in revenue to us. We already moved this army here, but it looks like Carthago Nova may end up being okay. We'll probably have to move out to Saldamakya because I'm assuming they're going to revolt next turn. Usually like 2 turns of rioting will lead to a revolt if you don't have sufficient garrison troops to tamp that down. So go ahead and end the turn and see what the next turn has in store for us. All right, and with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this video. This was taken from a live stream from my Twitch channel from a couple of weeks back when the game first sort of released. But let me know if you guys enjoyed this. I know there weren't any actual like battles that were fought here, so it was a little bit of a sanitized Total War experience because we're just getting started. But this was sort of the raw, uncut view of my live stream, my first impressions. The AI doesn't seem to be as aggressive in this as I remember from the original, and so we may need to do some cutting and clipping and things like that to kind of take out some of the downtime between fights, because I think with anyone who plays Total War, the fights are really what they want to jump into. With that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please leave your thoughts down below, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.